this webinar can introduce you to the SEO topic and its importance and applications in the future world. So I hope that Mr. Ratish Naroor, welcome sir, he will be able to guide us on that since he's been working on many such companies as in important roles like global head and all. So first of all, I welcome you, and I welcome Dr. Saju P. John, Head of the Department of Jyoti Engineering College, Computer Science and Engineering Department. So, sir.
Yes. A very good morning to one and all. Today, it is a special day for us because we have a wonderful speaker, wonderful resource person with us to share his experience about the present and search engine optimization tools and about the new trends in enterprise SEO. So, I would like to welcome on behalf of Jyoti Engineering College, I would like to welcome Mr. Ratish Naroor to this program. Welcome, Mr. Ratish. We are very thankful to you to be with us for this session. And he is presently he's a global head of a US-based company, Etsy.com. And he's an experienced personality. Over a decade of experience he's having in the e-commerce industry. So I request all the participants to interact with him. You just have the program should not be a one-way communication. You just have a discussion with Ratish. He's very happy to share his experience. A very energetic person since he's at 9 o'clock there in the US now. So we today we just started our morning. So I expect this will be a good program, and we are going to get new ideas about what is happening in the e-commerce industry as well as the importance of SEO trends and SEO tools. So I'm not extending my words. I'm inviting Ratish to for his session. Welcome, Ratish. I'm sure you can start your program now. All the very best.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Dr. Saju P. John and Amal. Definitely an honor to actually talk to you guys. Yeah, when Anil actually mentioned that, yeah, he works at the college, and I was super excited really to talk to young folks and also maybe share some details around SEO. I've been working in the SEO field for close to 12 years in the US, and it's been a great experience for me. As I was just saying before, I completed my computer science engineering from Vadagara Engineering College along with Anil Anthony, and I did work back in India for almost 7 years in Bangalore, in Bombay. I was also working in Trivandrum, and I was really trying to be a regular software engineer guy, like majority of the people after they get out of an engineering college. But then I got this opportunity to move to the States on a work visa. And then when I came here, I was looking for a job. And interestingly, they had this SEO developer job where you have to know SEO and also you have to be a developer. And it was so funny that I didn't learn SEO. Like, we don't teach SEO in school or in colleges or anywhere. And I used to run a couple of blogs at that time. It was just a funny thing that at that time I used to run my own blog, and I used to do SEO so that I can make some side income through the blog because I can put ads like Google AdSense in there and make some money on the side. So it was kind of an hobby that I actually had when I was working in India to make some side income, and it ended up being my full-time job in the US. So I think it really taught me that yeah, anything that you want to learn, you can actually learn on the side and make it your full-time profession if you want. And I'm a living example of that. So what I did was, yeah, I'm super excited to actually meet you all here. I hope that I can lend some knowledge on SEO. And also, I really want to make sure that you don't feel like you're going to learn SEO full in this particular 1 hour session. I'm just going to give you some ideas here and there, but you have to do a lot of research on yourself to really understand how SEO works, how you can get into this particular field. And if you really want to get a job in this area, you should definitely progress. And then also, I want to share something that I wish I knew when I was getting out of college. I don't think at that time, back in 2003, we had these kind of sessions online happening, or even people coming to the school or college and giving us lectures. It was all theoretical stuff that we used to study. So I really want to share some life lessons that I learned in the last 15 years of my professional life to you guys. And as you get into professional world, you can actually utilize that. So what I'm going to do is I share my screen a little bit. And then if anybody has any question, just unmute yourself and ask that question. Don't feel shy, or just use the chat messaging that we have in Google Hangouts, where you can just type in the question and I can read that and give an answer. So don't feel shy at all, because that's an important one. If you really want to get some value out of this discussion, it should be a two-way discussion, not a one-way discussion, right? So let me share my screen. Hope you can see my screen. Yeah, today what we'll discuss is definitely I'll talk a little bit about how Google.com works and why they created a field called SEO. Google is the one who came up with this concept of search engine optimization, and I'll tell you why. Some of the ranking factors. I'll talk a little bit about enterprise SEO versus small scale website SEO. I'll talk about ranking factors, and then the topics like what are the things that I knew before when I was getting out of college, some key industries that are going to be the future for today and for the future, because I really feel like you guys should be focusing on future technologies, not really outdated, old school technologies. So I'll definitely talk a little bit about those items. And then finally, some advice from my experience to lead a good life if you really want to be happy in life. And also to begin with, yeah, I really want to share my family. They are my backbone to some extent, and keeping me busy all the time. I've got two girls. One is 6-year-old. The other one is 4-year-old. One is called Advika, and the other one is Aditi. And then I've got my wonderful wife, Shiniga, who's from Kannur. And then I was in Kerala 2 years ago, or India 2 years ago, before COVID started. This is a picture of my family and my wife's family from the Mugambika temple when we were visiting India. Some of the other passion that I do outside of SEO, I love photography. So I started with taking pictures. Now I only take pictures of my daughters because they are the best models in my life. So this is my younger daughter that we took picture in Utah. And the other picture that you see is taken with a drone. So I'm into drone photography. I love flying DJI drones, and I took a picture at Payyanur near Kannur. It was a resort in the middle of a farmland. So it came out good. And then I do a lot of gardening. As you can see, all those vegetables that I grew, we only have 6 months of summer in Utah. So I only grow vegetables on those 6 months. And the rest of the 6 months is winter, when you are inside the house or you either ski on the mountains. So I'm really into gardening, and I love. My whole dream is to actually set up a farm someday and then grow vegetables and be self-sufficient. If I get the chance to do that, I'll definitely be looking forward to setting up a farm and doing that. Professional life. In my 13 years of enterprise SEO in the US, I've worked at some companies, some of the companies you might know, like TripAdvisor, which is a travel company based in Boston. I worked there. Overstock.com is a retail company that I worked at in Utah. Seamless and Grubhub is actually an early startup that I started working with back in 2008. They were the founders of food delivery. So I'm pretty sure that Grubhub and Swiggy and Zomato back in India, they kind of copied the idea that Grubhub had. They are the first one in the US who came up with this concept of food delivery. And I think I was the lucky enough to actually join this company much early on. I was the 50th employee when they started Grubhub or Seamless in US. And then, the company grew really big. And then I was one among the 1,000 employees that they were working. And I also worked at a startup called Slice, which is a pizza delivery company in New York. And then currently I work at Etsy.com, which is a company competes with Amazon, but they are always working on handmade products. And we are a very large company with more than 110 million products. And it's roughly valued at $36 billion. 1 billion is equivalent to 7,000 crores rupees. So you can multiply 36 by 7,000 to really understand how big of a company it is in India. And we are launching Etsy in India next year. I'm also part of that team who's growing Etsy in India. So next year, you'll definitely see advertisement and things like that. We'll be competing with Flipkart and Amazon India next year. So definitely look out for Etsy in later half of the year when we start. And also on the side, I'm an advisor at a couple of companies. I work for a growth advisor at Sawyer, which is a marketplace for kids activities. I'm also into crypto. So I co-founded a company called coinbeast.com. It's a blog which talks about cryptocurrency and blockchain and things like that. I'm also just started a company like two months ago called evhomequickcharging.com, which is mostly targeted towards EV, electric vehicles, where you can actually charge your car inside your garage or in your house. So we are giving them chargers and things like that as a company. And then also Gentle Beast is a new startup focusing on dog training. So I'm just advising them to grow as a business and also enjoying advising on the side. I don't know whether there was a question. Let me see. I saw some sound coming in. I don't know whether I can. Unfortunately, I can't see the question when I'm presenting. So if anybody has a question, I would say mute yourself and just talk to me, and then I can just pause and then answer that question. Oh, but let me see if I can see a question. Oh, they are cute. Thank you. Let me continue. So Etsy, as I said, if you look at Etsy, there is a tool called SEMrush where you can look at any website on the internet and really understand how much traffic they get. And if you look at Etsy, this is the traffic report for Etsy. Roughly, Etsy gets 259 million visitors from SEO, from Google. So this is like somebody going to google.com and searching for Etsy or handmade furniture or handmade clothing, jewelry, things like that. You actually end up coming to Etsy. And if you really want to see what I'm talking about, like quickly, if I do Etsy.com on Google, this is what you see. Etsy shop for handmade, vintage, custom, and unique gift card. This is what SEO is all about. If you actually search for the word in Google and then you see a website popping up, that is what SEO does. And my job is to really make sure that our website shows up right on Google so that we can capture that traffic and bring them to Etsy.com. And we convert them into buying something, that way make revenue out of it, right? So that's the basic concept of SEO. And roughly, as I showed you, 259 million people come to Etsy.com every month. And my job or my team's job is to really grow that number so that we can drive more traffic and then more conversion. That way we make more revenue for the company. And roughly, if you ask me how much revenue we make from SEO, we roughly make around $2 billion per year on Etsy.com. $2 billion is roughly 14,000 crores of rupees. So just my team, I have a team of 12 people under me, and they just do work so that we can drive 14,000 crores of rupees to Etsy.com. So it's a big, responsible job, but also it's a fun job because you're kind of driving 14,000 crores to the company. So yeah, I talk to the CEO, I talk to the CTO on a regular basis so that they are also confidently seeing that, okay, we're going to increase more revenue from this particular stream of marketing channel and make the company more profitable. So it's a big responsibility, I would say, when you're doing enterprise SEO. So same thing happens on Flipkart.com, for example. There is an SEO guy at Flipkart.com in India, mostly in Delhi, I believe, who's running SEO at Flipkart.com. And his job is the same thing, to drive as much traffic to Flipkart.com from Google, and then convert that into revenue. And the other beauty about SEO is you don't pay any money to Google for that traffic or for that revenue. So Google.com has both advertisement and free rankings on Google. So if you really search for Etsy.com, this is actually an advertisement. That's why you have the word ad listed in here. So you pay money to get in here, but here this is free. You don't pay a single penny to Google.com. So all the traffic that comes from here or below is actually free. So that is another beauty of SEO, is like you don't pay money to Google to get that traffic. So the more traffic that can come from Google or organic channels, you are saving money for the company without spending advertisement dollars and things like that. So it's a big deal when it comes to SEO. Is majority of the traffic, if it is coming from SEO, great. You are not paying money for any of that traffic, right? So let me explain how it works. If you really ask me how Google actually finds your website. So say that you are actually launching a website, and let's take your professor's name, Anil Anthony. He's launching a brand new website called anilanthony.com, right? And he's launching it tomorrow, saying, this is my blog and it's all about me. Usually when you have a new website, Google will actually send a spider, or sometimes we call it bot, a Google bot, which is a machine which actually goes on the internet and looks for domains or brand new website. And then when they find that there is a new domain that was registered in GoDaddy or Google Domains, they go and hit that website to see how many pages are there, or what is anilanthony.com all about, and try to understand what the website. And that's what is called crawling the web pages. And once they feel like, yes, this is a legit website, it has some information in there, they actually store that information in an index. We call it the Google index. And they store that information. And then they have something called ranking algorithms, which actually looks for keywords which are related to your website, and then they rank it on Google. So when a user is actually sitting on a computer and searching for a keyword, the ranking algorithms work against the Google index and then find the right websites that they should rank, and then show you that. So if you're searching for jackets or leather jackets on google.com, that is exactly what they do. They have a massive Google index where they list all the websites on the internet. When you search for jackets or men's jacket, they look at the index, like who are the websites who sell men's jacket. They run the algorithms, and then they rank the right websites, the right 10 websites on the top, and then give you all the traffic. So there are so many factors that matter in algorithms, which is really the topic or the meaning of the query. Like if I search for man's jacket, Google really understands that you're looking for a jacket that you wear, right? So that meaning of query is important. The relevance of web page is very important. Like if mensjacket.com actually sells it, they have to make sure that they match it really well, so that they're not ranking some stupid website or some wrong websites for the keyword jackets. So that's very critical. If you are building the website, the quality of the content should be very nice or very good. So if you're really making mensjacket.com, you have to talk about jackets, how it is made, what are the ingredients that you used, why is it high quality, why it has guarantee, and things like that on the page. So the quality of the content is very important. Usability is like, if you end up being on the website, you should be able to buy stuff on the website. So that's another thing, is the usability should be very high. So if say that your website doesn't load in 5 seconds or 10 seconds, it takes forever when you're visiting a website, it's bad quality. Google won't rank your website because Google will see it's taking 10 minutes to load a website. I don't want to rank it on Google. So that is very critical. So those are the basic concepts of SEO when it works. So if you look at it, there are like trillions of websites on the internet, right? And the Google's job is to really find all those trillions of websites and put it in the index. And I just showed you a random data center server where they store all this information. They have tons of servers like this to store all this information. And it's very expensive for Google to store all this information. If you think of it, a trillion websites, every website has multiple landing pages. So think of it, there are trillions and trillions of landing pages on the internet that Google has to store. And I think they did a very good job that they can actually do that. None of the other companies can ever do that. That's why Google is Google. And that's why they are one of the most popular companies in the world, because they found a tactic to store the entire internet in a couple of servers or bunch of servers, and then do all these algorithms and things like that. But also, Google actually has another problem where if the website is really bad and the website doesn't tell people what the website is all about, it's very difficult to Google to understand what the website is all about. So what they did, they invented this new job trend or job title saying SEO, search engine optimization, where they say, hey, hire an SEO who will come to your website and tell you exactly how to put your website or put the right content on the website, so that when we come and crawl your website, we understand what the website is all about. So our job was just created so that we can go to different companies, educate people in the company, and really tell them how to do SEO on your website so that Google can understand your website and then rank it on google.com. So it's a very interesting thing. I think my career was made by Google, to be honest, if you really ask me, which I think is very interesting. So SEO industry was pushed by Google, and I think it is still powered by Google. So I'm very much obliged towards Google to getting me a job in this particular industry. So what SEOs do, if you really ask me, what is my job looking like on a daily basis? So my job is to really make sure that, hey, Google is actually, Googlebot is crawling your website. So I have tools where I can look at how many times Google came and hit your website, what pages they were crawling. All that information is at my fingertips because I have dashboards and things like that. Then I evangelize SEO. If somebody doesn't know or understand how SEO works, I go to them and really tell them how SEO works. So when I joined Etsy, my first job was to evangelize SEO, to tell people that how SEO works. So what I did was I brought the entire company on a conference call like this, and then really started talking about how SEO works. What are some of the things that you have to make sure when you're building a website? And people asked me questions, and I evangelized SEO. Right. So those are some of the tactics that's there. You can find all this information on the internet, but these are some of the things that I do. Right. And then I'll try to move fast. So because we have a lot of topics in there, but then there is enterprise SEO. There is a small website SEO. So if Anil comes up with anilanthony.com and adds 5 or 10 pages on the website, it's a very small website. It's very easy to do those SEO for 10-page websites because you have only 10 pages. Enterprise, on the other side, we are talking about millions of landing pages. So Etsy.com roughly has 300 million landing pages on Etsy.com. So our job becomes very complex to understand how to do SEO for 300 million landing pages. Same with Flipkart.com. If Flipkart.com has an SEO, they are dealing with millions of landing pages on their websites, like lakhs of pages on their website. So their job is to really understand that. So it's a bit complex. It's very, a lot of tasks involved in doing SEO for a large company. And also you get highly paid. I mean, if in the US, you get roughly $100,000 to $300,000, $3 lakhs in the US, which is like, yeah, roughly, I think that calculation is wrong, but yeah, I mean, in the US, it's roughly $300,000. In India, if say that you end up working for Flipkart or some large websites like Flipkart or Amazon India, you will end up getting 20 lakhs to 77 lakhs per annum, which is like a good salary in India. Small scale websites, you don't get paid much, maybe maximum 5 lakhs or 12 lakhs per annum. So I wouldn't recommend focus on small websites. I would rather focus on enterprise if you really want to make big money and big opportunities there. And then some of the ranking factors that matters. Again, I don't want to go so much detail because I don't think I can teach you everything about SEO in 1 hour. But these are some of the top themes within SEO. So if you're doing a Google search, I would highly recommend search for SEO ranking factors in 2022, or even search for the periodic table for SEO. And you will find this kind of a table structure or periodic table structure where they really explain what are the factors, what matters for SEO, right? So if you look at it, content, architecture, HTML, reputation, internal links or external links, user experience on the website, some toxins or bad black hat SEO stuff is very critical for SEO. And then if you ask me the niches that are with SEO, there are something called local SEO, which is like Google Maps SEO, or even we call it GMB, Google My Business SEO. Then publishing, say that you are ndtv.com or you're working at ndtv.com, you have to do publishing SEO in order to make sure that your articles are seen by Google, so that you can drive people from Google to your website, which is ndtv.com. And then e-commerce is something that I do. Etsy.com, Flipkart, Amazon India is all e-commerce. So you have to do a little differently when you're doing SEO for e-commerce. So those are some of the big buckets. And I would definitely say that you should go to Google, search for it, and then really find topics like that. And this is an example, as I just showed you. You go to Google, search for Etsy, our Etsy websites ranks like this. This is my job, to really control what shows up in Google. So if I want to change clothing and shoes or all categories or home and living, I can change that by doing some tactics in my office and really change this. So this is a very common example. Like, do the same thing for Flipkart. You will see that Flipkart is ranking #1, and because they have done some SEO to make sure Flipkart shows up, right? This is another example. You search for Etsy jewelry or just jewelry. This is what shows up. You actually have a page for jewelry, and if you land there, we will show you vintage jewelry or jewelry sets or wedding jewelry, handmade jewelry, gold jewelry, things like that. So I would definitely recommend go check out Etsy.com, see all the jewelry items that we are selling. But again, as I said, it's mostly in the US, so you have to pay dollars in order to buy something. We will be launching in India this year. By mid this year, you can actually go to Etsy India and actually buy stuff using rupees or Google Pay or even PayPal. That is what we are launching. So tomorrow you don't have to go to Jaipur to buy a Jaipur rug or Jaipur clothing or a Jaipur artifact. You can actually buy it on Etsy, because we will have a seller from Jaipur who's selling a product on the website, and you can buy it and they will ship it to Kerala if you really want to. So that is the whole concept of Etsy. This is an example of custom neon sign. A lot of people in US search for it. And we actually have products. And as you can see, there are a lot of images, of sample images of, we show what are some of the neon signs that we sell on Etsy. And my job is to really make sure that if somebody searches for the word custom neon sign, Etsy.com ranks very high on the top, so that we can drive all that traffic, right? There's another example. If you search for first birthday dress, if my daughter was turning one year old and I'm looking for a dress for her birthday, I would go to Etsy and buy here. And most of the people search for that on Google. And as you can see, we have some enticing results on Google where we tell people that, hey, we have first birthday dress. You should come down to Etsy and buy the product. There's another example of Indian. I don't know what chikan curry lehenga means, but it's a latest lehenga trend, I believe, and we sell a lot on Etsy. So I would definitely say, if there are girls in the call, you should definitely go search for this particular lehenga, and you can see that we are selling those on Etsy.com. And again, when we launch in India, you can actually buy it directly from sellers from Rajasthan or Delhi or North India, and it gets shipped to your place. This is another example of personalized cutting board. It's a big thing in the US. I don't know why it is, but people tend to actually gift people. Like if somebody is buying a new house and there is a housewarming party, they end up buying a name engraved. So it will say the Naroors or the Ratish Naroor family or something like that. And they will actually engrave the name in the cutting board and they gift that to people. It's a big selling item on Etsy.com. A lot of people come to Etsy just to buy the cutting boards, which has the name in it. And this is actually a product that we sell. So you can definitely see all the details, like it costs roughly $39 to $109. It is in stock. It has 9,000 reviews, and then it has rating. So it gives more confidence to the consumers to say that, yes, they can actually buy this on Etsy because there are amazing raving reviews about this particular product. So this is kind of my topic around SEO. Any initial questions that I can answer? I've been talking a lot, but I really want to hear if there is any questions that I can answer regarding SEO, or else I can move on to the next topic. Or feel free to add it in the comments or comment section so that I can read that.
Ratish, I have a question. Ratish.
I'll go ahead, Vishnu.
Yeah, Ratish, we discussed about this landing page. When we look at a website, we mostly think about there is only one landing page. When you mentioned about Etsy, there are 300 million landing pages. So what does a landing page mean from a layman's perspective?
So landing page means if you are selling products. So for example, Flipkart, if you look at flipkart.com, they are selling, like, they might be selling 10 lakhs product, 10 lakh product, or maybe 1 crore products on flipkart.com, like from motorbikes to books to table to chairs, everything, right? Every product that they sell, they actually have a separate landing page for it. Because if you're really looking for a jacket, you will go to Flipkart, you'll find one particular jacket that you really like and you want to buy it. That's actually a landing page. So if you are selling 10,000 products, you have 10,000 landing pages. So Etsy actually has 110 million products that we sell in the market. So we have 110 million landing pages where we sell these products. So we have to do SEO for 110 million pages in order to rank it on Google. And again, we don't do it one by one because there are 110 million of those. We do it something like dynamic SEO, where we'll make one change, but we make sure that all that change happens to all the 110 million products so that they can actually or get optimized for Google. And then all the 110 million pages will start ranking on Google. So that is the concept of landing pages, but that is just product pages that I was talking about. You can actually have category pages like jewelry, for example, or men's clothing can be another category. So Etsy has roughly 6,000 categories that we work in. So we have 6,000 landing pages for each of those categories. So SEO is all about optimizing your landing page. So the total number of landing pages matters when it comes to doing SEO.
Okay, thank you, Ratish. Now it's very clear. So I was getting confused with the home page. So this is home page plus the landing page. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Usually it's all about landing pages. So when you're starting a new company and you're trying to sell products, I would say that the more products you have, the more chances you have to do SEO and then drive traffic. So yeah, I call landing pages as fishing lines, you have seen people fishing, right? So the more lines you have that you can drive people to the website, the better for SEO.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Perfect. So let me move on to the next topic, and maybe I can take more questions later on. But I also want to talk about things that I knew when I was getting out of college. And this is also very critical and important for you guys, because you will be getting out of college into the professional world, and you're actually gonna deal with every new thing that you didn't learn in college, to be honest. So I think one thing that I was very clear or wanted to know was which industry is going to be very critical when I was getting out of college. It was very difficult at that time to really find what key industries are going to be, right? I graduated in 2003 along with Anil Anthony. And at that time, we didn't know what was the next big thing. I mean, we knew internet was a big thing. So luckily, I was into internet and I was into e-commerce and everything. So I got lucky, to be honest. But there was still a lot of people who didn't know what to do. Some people wants to become a college professor. Somebody wants to work in the government. Some people wants to, but again, there was no good clarity around what they want to choose. So you guys should really understand what is the industry, like what is the industries that are shifting right now in 2022, so that the next 5 to 10 years, you choose an industry which is going to grow really well, so that you find a job in there. right? So that is very critical. So we'll talk about some of the industries that I have listed here. I have another slide for it. Then another thing that I really want to educate on is I don't think our colleges in India do a good job in teaching personal finance to people, right? So I see a lot of people who get out of college, like think about people who get out of IIT or IIM and all that stuff. They get a really good job where they are earning 1 to 2 lakhs per month. In hand, they get 1 lakh rupees, and they don't know what to do. They go and spend that money on cars, apartments, houses, and things like that when they really don't know what to do with it. So personal finance is very critical. So I would really recommend you guys to go to YouTube, read or listen to people who are talking about personal finance, how to be wealthy, and what is the difference between being wealthy and being rich. So I would definitely say go to YouTube and search for wealthy versus rich, and you will see a lot of topics about what is being wealthy and what is being rich. And a lot of people have this misconception that they see somebody on the road driving a BMW and they're like, oh, that guy is rich. You don't want to be a rich person. You have to be a wealthy person, to be honest. So that is very critical, the understanding that difference between a rich and a wealthy. I would definitely say Google that and learn that. But we can talk about that in future. If you really want to talk more about it, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or email, and we can talk about it. And even some of the topics like effects of compounding, right, is very important. I think a lot of people don't understand that the earlier you are with investment or investing in stock market or something like that, the compounding effect is huge. That's how people become wealthy. That's how people make money. It's not like they wait for getting a lottery or something like that. They actually invest much early on so that in next 5 to 10 years, that money can quadruple or even become bigger so that you can do that. And then buying a house versus renting a house. There's a huge difference between it. A lot of people don't know about that. A lot of people get into this getting a home loan and buying a house, and then for the lifetime, they are just investing in that particular house when renting is a good option sometimes. So understanding whether you should rent, whether you should buy a house is important. Spending habits is another one. Yeah, you shouldn't spend all the money that you're making, minimum. I think my dad actually taught me in early days that you should save 30% of your income, which I think was a good one, honestly. I save more than that today, but it's still, by him giving me that level of saying minimum 30% you should save, it really helped me in my early days. And then saving for retirement. It's very critical. So if you get a job tomorrow, you should start saving for retirement the first day that you get your first paycheck. Very critical because of the compounding effect. Another thing is time is money. I think I tell this to everybody, like people waste a lot of time spending on mobile phones, looking at Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff. You are losing money if you're really asking me. I would just say that invest your time efficiently. I mean, don't waste your time in things that really don't add value to your life. So time is money. It's very critical. Then another thing is communication. I think it is very critical, I think, for your job in future. I don't think we have, even in your engineering course, if you look at it in 4 years, I don't know how much time you study about effective communication or being on a stage and talking about certain topic. I think that is very critical for your professional life. So make sure that you're spending good amount of time understanding written and vocal communication skills, because in future, when you get into a job, it's very critical. I mean, I understand for my job, it's very critical that I have to talk to 1,000 employees at one time. And if I didn't have the right communication skill, I would have been really missing out, to be honest. So it's very critical that you take the time, either go somewhere and learn about communication or just practice it so that you are an effective communicator in future. And then finally, find your greatness or passion. Like you don't have to be an engineer. Like I know a lot of engineers who studied engineering, but they didn't end up becoming an engineer. Like I'm a good example. I mean, in the beginning, I was studying to become a computer engineer, but I'm a marketer right now. I'm a search engine marketer. I do management right now. And I didn't study that in my 4 years of engineering. So I think you need to really find where you are really good at find your passion. My passion was SEO when it comes to professional, and I think I really hooked onto it. And then I've been doing SEO for last 12 years, and I can proudly say that I'm one of the best SEOs in the US. With all the experience that I've gathered, I still get emails and LinkedIn requests from big advisors, big investors, big CEOs from different companies saying, "Hey, your profile looks amazing. Can you help me with SEO?" Right? So it's very important that you find your greatness or passion, which helps a lot in your career. Moving on, I also want to share something about Josh Kaufman. I'm a big fan of this guy. He's the guy who wrote the book for the Personal MBA. Highly recommend. I feel like if you read this book thoroughly, you don't have to really do an MBA, honestly. Well, I mean, it's worth it doing MBA, but still, there are so many other advantages of doing an MBA. But if you really want to learn what an MBA candidate learns, you can read this book. I love this book. And then also he wrote a recent book saying the first 20 hours. He came up with this concept saying that anything that you want to learn in the world, and you really want to be good at a particular skill, you just have to invest roughly 20 hours or less to be good at that skill. And it can be like playing a guitar or doing gardening or trying to ride a motorbike or trying to ride a bicycle or anything in the world, to be honest, like painting, to be honest. If you spend 20 hours or less on painting, you can be a good painter, to be honest. But you have to spend that 20 hours thoroughly on that particular topic. It's a concept called rapid skid acquisition. So I think it's very critical. So if you're really interested in a new industry that you want to get in and you really want to learn about it, spend that 20 hours on that particular topic. You can be really good at that. And then maybe that will help you get a job in future, right? So I'll definitely talk about some of the latest topics or industries that are popping up. I would really say that apply this rapid skid acquisition. Go get this book, honestly, or listen to his TED Talk. I mean, just search his name on Google. You will find his TED Talk. There are tons of YouTube videos on Josh Kaufman. He'll talk a lot about it. So definitely go listen to that. And then some of the topics that I really want to say, if you are really looking for a next gen industry that you really want to get into so that your next 10 to 15 years is good and you have good jobs in that area, these are some of the topics. One is definitely the aging population. I think if you are an entrepreneur and you want to start a new business, I would definitely say that focus on the aging population because the people who are born in between 1946 and 1964, they are getting old. They are turning 70 to 75 years old. And there are a lot of people. And we call that category as baby boomers, if you look at Google. So all these people are turning old and they have a lot of money with them because they worked their ass off in the last many years to actually earn for their living. Now they have all this retirement money lying in there and they don't know how to spend that money. So if you really want to get into an industry where you can flourish, I think baby boomers industry is a big one. So there's a lot of new technology where they're happening where people are thinking about travel industry for baby boomers. There are also a lot of people working on robotics where they're actually working on household helpers to help the baby boomers. In the US, the senior living industry is booming like anything because all these people are getting old and they don't know where to stay. They don't want to live alone in their house because they are old and they don't know what to do if they get sick. So it's better to go to a senior living place where they have hospitals or nurses and everything in the campus. So that's another area that is growing. Then I think pretty sure you might have heard about Bitcoin or Ethereum and things like that, the cryptocurrency world. It's booming like anything. I believe in cryptocurrency. I've invested a lot in cryptocurrency. And there is a concept, and it's not really the currency that matters. It's the technology behind the cryptocurrency, which is called the blockchain, right? So I would highly recommend you guys to spend some time understanding what blockchain means, why Bitcoin is popular, what is the blockchain behind Bitcoin and Ethereum, and try to understand what is the value prop of it. So blockchain is huge. There will be a lot of development opportunities in building software under blockchain. So if you can learn or master blockchain, you can easily get a job in future. Quantum computing is another big area that is growing really well. If you look at Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or even Google, they are using quantum computing to compute all this massive amount of data in real time. So when you are searching for jewelry on Google, they can easily give you a result in 2 seconds or less than 2 seconds. It's because they have heavy computing happening in the background. So quantum computing is huge. Robotics, as I said, is going to be very big. If you look at some of the warehouses of Amazon or Flipkart, it's all run by robots. It's not run by humans. You don't have 20,000 people taking packages and moving around. It's all computers or robots who are moving packages in big warehouses. So huge opportunity in future. Artificial intelligence is another big area. You've been hearing about AI. AI is everywhere. Look at Facebook, look at Google, look at defense, look at any area, AI is there. So AI is another massive area that you can work on. Augmented reality, virtual reality, the metaverse is going to be big in next future. If you remember, Facebook recently changed their name. They are no longer Facebook. They are called Meta. The name of the company that Facebook, the company which owns Facebook is known as Meta, not Facebook. So the reason is they are investing in metaverse. So metaverse is a huge area of focus for the next 5 to 10 years. So definitely look for a job in that particular area. Self-driving cars is big. You might have heard of Tesla. We are already seeing Teslas on the road in the US, like in massive chunks. There are a lot of self-driving technology that is happening. We believe that the future transportation will be in self-driving. Package delivery will be self-driving. Food delivery will be self-driving. There's so many things happening there. And then finally, every company would be a tech data company. So anytime you can work on a technology or data sector, you will be working in large companies. Like Tesla, for example, many people in the US believe that Tesla is a car company. It is not a car company. It's a tech data company. They have tremendous amount of data about roads, about self-driving, about driving skills of humans. It's a pure data company in order to make self-driving cars. So definitely focus on working on tech and data companies. And then finally, some personal advice from my personal experience in the last 20 years of professional life. I think find the compassion is very critical. Really find compassion in others. Don't be selfish in life. Definitely think about the others a lot. I would definitely say learn the Japanese way. I've always heard great things about Japanese. I mean, even if you go to YouTube and search for why Japanese people are the nicest people in the world, you will definitely see that they are very compassionate. There's a good story that the last World Cup, when they had a game between Japan and some other country, and Japanese lost the football game. They actually were out of World Cup. But what they did at the end of the game was they cleaned up the stadium where they were sitting. And they were so nice, and everybody was surprised because all the other people or the other country fans were just leaving the stadium when these people were sitting and cleaning up where they were sitting. So it's amazing to learn from the Japanese. Make some bold decisions. Like it's very critical that you actually think about making decisions early in the life. Even when you're thinking about, hey, should you go and work for Infosys or should you start your own company? It's very important that you think like an entrepreneur way. It's okay to actually start a company, fail there, because you can learn a lot from that failure rather than going and sitting and doing a job for some other company in the US working at Infosys. So I think you should have that skill to make bold decisions in life. Very important. Be committed. I think this is very important that anything that you start, you have to make sure that you finish that job. Anytime you're doing something, try to do a little better than what you did last time, and then do a little more you can, right? So even if you're washing a car, to be honest, if you have a car in your house and you're trying to wash your car, try to do in a different way so that you're doing a little bit better than what you did last time. And that habit is an important one because in future, you can definitely do everything that you do in your life in the same way, like doing a little better and then really getting better at whatever you're doing. And then be curious always. I think that's an important skill. Don't take it lightly that, hey, you have heard about self-driving cars, but I would say that sit down and think about how do these cars work? Like, how is it self-driving? Take the time to research about it. Like, as I said, do that rapid skill development where you sit down for a couple of hours and try to understand how Tesla made a self-driving car, to be honest. And it can be applied for anything, to be honest. Whatever you see in the world, just think about it a little bit. Be curious all the time, and being curious always helps you in life. And then put yourself in hard situations. This is a common thing that I see in India, even in my family. I've seen a lot of people who take it very lightly. They take the time to spend their parents' money. They don't take the time to find a job. They enjoy taking somebody's money and enjoying life with that. It's not that easy to live in life, to be honest. So I would say put yourself in hard situation. Don't use your dad's money or your mom's money. It's for their retirement. It's their hard-earned money, and it's not given to you. Don't take it for granted, is what I'm trying to say. Try to start earning your money in your early age itself. Even if you have money or your parents have money, let them have it. Honestly, let them enjoy that for retirement. But just put yourself in hard situation, because that will teach you a lot in life, to be honest. Even if you fail, it will give you a lot of good decisions. And then my final advice would be try to read minimum one self-help book per month, to be honest. I'm a big fan of self-help. I don't read any other topic other than self-help. So I've got, like, in my library, I've got like 50, 60 books, which are all about self-help. These are some of the books that I love. Ikigai is the Japanese secret way of living a happy life. Ikigai, it's called. Google it. You can find it on Flipkart. Principles is another book written by the American Ray Dalio. Grit is another good book, which talks about how to develop grit when you're doing something. Mindset by Carol is another great book, which talks about growth mindset. There is two types of mindset. One is the growth mindset. The other one is a fixed mindset. Entrepreneurs, all the successful people in life actually have growth mindset. So this book really tells you how to get the growth mindset. And then finally, Originals by Adam Grant is an amazing book. It talks about how to have original ideas. That said, I'm kind of done. I saw one message popping up. Let me see if I can see a question, or maybe feel free to. Yeah, feedback link. Okay, yeah. So I'm kind of done with all the topics that I wanted to share. Any questions that I can answer? And I can go over 1 hour if you have questions, don't mind. I usually sleep after 10:30, 11 o'clock, so not a big deal. Would love to hear the questions. And again, as I said, don't feel shy. Please open up. So for enterprise, I use something called SEMrush. I have an enterprise account for SEMrush. There's another tool called Botify, which is a very expensive tool. We pay roughly $100,000 per year to have that tool for Etsy. So Botify is another tool. Ahref is another tool that I use. Google Search Console is a free tool that Google gives us. So I use Google Search Console like daily. Every day morning, I start with Google Search Console. Yeah, those are some of the tools. And again, SEO is not about just SEO tools. We also do a lot of product management. We do a lot of internal tools like Looker, data analytics tools, web analytics tools. So that's also very critical for SEO success.
So you can have a question not only related to SEO, you can ask question related to cryptocurrency and all. He is
sure thing. Anything.
Blogger.
Crypto, or even photography, even gardening if you want to, but I'm more than happy to answer that.
So normally once a company builds itself a proper brand, is SEO still mandatory? Because once it becomes a brand, people start searching directly for the brand itself. So then would SEO be actually necessary in point of view of how it tries to approach people?
Great question. So mostly when we do SEO, if you look at Etsy, we divide our traffic into two buckets. One is branded traffic and the other one called non-branded traffic, right? So branded traffic is anytime when somebody puts the word Etsy in there, it's treated as branded traffic. And kind of, you don't have to do any SEO. When you put the word Etsy in there, Google is so good in understanding that you are looking for Etsy. And we call it navigational queries. So we kind of don't have to do any SEO for branded queries. And on Etsy today, roughly 20% of the traffic comes from branded traffic. The rest 80% comes from non-branded. So that's where the skill or the importance of SEO is. If you can get more people from non-branded traffic, that's the best thing that you can do with SEO. So a non-branded example would be people searching for jewelry, like buy jewelry online, or men's clothing, or men's jacket, or first birthday dress, things like that are all non-branded traffic. So it's very critical that you do SEO for non-branded traffic and don't do anything for branded, because automatically Google will rank it. And for a startup, if you think of it, you don't have a brand, honestly. Nobody knows about your company. That's why you're called a startup. So think of Flipkart or even Etsy or even Amazon. When they started 10 years ago, nobody knew what the heck Flipkart was. Now, what is Amazon or what is Etsy? So we had to do a lot of SEO in order to bring people to the website so that they can see the website and say, oh, this is Etsy.com. This is what they do, and things like that. So non-branded traffic is actually an acquisition channel to drive more new people to the website so that they can come back again and again. So I would say SEO is very critical. I work with so many startups in the US when they are just starting and nobody knows anything about that brand. And my job is to really advise them to say how to do SEO so that they can find you and then get to your website as quickly as possible.
So I have one doubt. What is the future of NFT and the non-fungible tokens in the current scenario?
Yeah, NFT is an interesting field. I mean, it's very much hyped up, in my opinion, at this time. I know some people who bought NFT for $5 million. And I was like, that is ridiculous to pay $5 million for a particular NFT, right? There is definitely a lot of value in NFT because if you think of it, you are the primary owner of that particular image or music creation and things like that. So if you really think of it, why do people buy antiques, right? There are some people who have collectibles. They buy Rolex watches, which was made in 1975. And that's like a $20,000, $30,000 watch because people want to own it. In the same way, you can actually own certain things like that on the digital world using NFT. And that is where the value of NFT is. So I don't think that NFT is going to die, but I think there is a lot of development needed in NFT so that it's used in the right way, it's reasonable, and it's publicly available for everybody so that people don't freak out about NFT and they can still buy an NFT for maybe $10 or $50. I'm yet to buy an NFT, so I'm really looking forward to buy something in future. But at this time, it's all hyped up, is what I've seen. I've not seen any value in buying an NFT at the moment. Any other question?
Dear students, please unmute your mic and start ask questions, please. Or you can use the chat box.
Yeah, feel free to add it to the chat box if you don't want to speak up.
Hello, sir.
Go ahead, Thomas.
Yes, I had a question that, like, if I have a website or I have an e-commerce store and I don't have the capital to run paid ads in Facebook ads or Google ads, so how can I get organic traffic by unpaid SEO methods? Like, I know I shouldn't ask you this. You are the head of SEO in Etsy, and it's a bit low question for you, but still, like, how can I get traffic by the unpaid SEO? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So I think one way is, I mean, if you're the co-founder of that company and you really want to grow that company, learn SEO is my first recommendation, because SEO is not that complex. It's not rocket science, to be honest. It's very simple. I mean, there are open guides given by Google to clearly say what to do for your brand new website to rank for SEO, right? So I would definitely say in the beginning, when you're just starting a new website, I would definitely do the basic bare minimum SEO that you can find on Google Guides. And then once you grow and then you're getting some traffic, say that you had zero traffic, that you grow it to 1,000 visitors from Google per month, then you want to take it to the next level. You have to think about, hey, how can I take 1,000 visitors to 10,000 visitors? At that time, maybe you need advanced SEO skill. Either you learn it or you hire an SEO consultant, somebody like me or whoever is there in the market, and really get their advice, or maybe hire them, to be honest. So the same way how you're hiring engineers or software engineers or QA people or project managers or product managers, you should hire SEOs. And that's exactly what is happening in the US or even in India many times is we hire SEOs because they don't know how to do SEO. So we just start building SEO team within company. At Etsy, we have roughly 7 SEOs right now working under me, just doing SEO thinking, to be honest. So you should definitely hire an SEO if you're making that income. The other thing is paid is a one-time investment. If you do paid advertisement, you spend that money on advertisement, you get some return, and that's it. That money is gone. SEO, on the other hand, if you invest in SEO, say that you're putting $1,000 in putting SEO in your website, that SEO is not going to go away. It's always going to give you that consistent 1,000 visitors every month. So the SEO ROI or return on investment is very high compared with paid or advertisement or social media advertisement and things like that. So I would highly recommend invest in SEO, even if it takes money to hire somebody, go do that because in the long run, it's really going to help you.
Thank you, sir.
Perfect. Next question. Any other question? And yeah, I mean, maybe I can share one more thing that we are seeing in the world right now, especially with COVID or post-COVID. We are definitely, I mean, I don't know whether you have read about this, but there's something called American resignation that is happening right now. A lot of people are resigning from their full-time jobs. And that might come to India also after some time. I don't think it will happen now because everybody needs money and India is still developing. But in the US, we are definitely seeing that more people are actually leaving jobs. And one of the reasons that we felt was happening was a lot of people are getting into freelancing or they're getting multiple opportunities to do multiple jobs at the same time. So they are really learning that you don't have to have just one job. You can actually do multiple jobs. That's a good example from me. I mean, I'm working at Etsy as a full-time employee, but I'm also doing growth advising on the side, right? I never thought about this 5 years ago or 2 years ago. It just came up in my mind that, hey, why not I start advising startups because I have the experience. So that's becoming a big thing. So I'm really thinking that that will become a trend that nobody works for big companies anymore, but they work as freelancers or consultants more. Even I'm also thinking many times, like, why should I work for Etsy when I can work for 5 different companies like Etsy at the same time? And I can be a consultant to each of these companies. Maybe I can make more money from them, but still be more, I can learn more stuff if I work for 5 companies instead of working at one company. So that's another big trend that is happening is really looking at freelancing or consulting going on. So again, when you're looking for jobs outside, don't always think of that you have to get a job in Infosys or CTS or anywhere in order to get a job. You can do freelancing, or you can be an entrepreneur where you can start your own company. As Thomas just asked, go and build a Shopify website, or there is a new company in India called Dukan, where you can actually build your own website to sell stuff, like an e-commerce website. I would say start with that. Honestly, you don't have to go and work somewhere. You can still make a lot of money by doing freelancing or even running your own e-commerce shop in India. Any other questions? And yeah, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or Gmail. Definitely reach out to Anil Anthony if you want my email address. He can definitely share that. But yeah, I'll love to hear after this webinar. If anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to connect with you offline and discuss even the career or anything. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to share my thoughts.
So Jyotis can have the next. Jyotis, hello.
I saw.
Radish, you can wait for 2 minutes. We can have.
Oh, no worries.
Okay,
Basis.
so I guess yeah, no one have any more doubts. So Mr. Ratish Naroor, it was a really great session. Because you explained what is SEO and how you can how SEO can impact our businesses and all, and you exemplified it with your experiences. So thanks a lot. I mean, it must like shape our future. At least for a few of us, it is going to shape our future, or how we are going to see our lives, or how we are going to implement better products. Whether I'm going to work in a startup or at a company, I mean, this is going to help us. So thanks a lot for that. And yeah, as a token of gratitude, we are presenting this certificate to you for your experience and sharing it with them, with us. So thank you. And one note for the participants is I have posted the feedback link in the chat box. So kindly fill the feedback form because it's really compulsory to get your certificate. So thanks a lot for everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Amal. And definitely happy that I got a chance to talk to you all.
Ratish, thank you very much for sharing. Very happy to see that you are balancing your personal life and professional life equally, and you have shared very good information. Your advices are too good for the budding engineers. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you.
Sure thing. Yeah, I'm definitely hoping that it will help somebody, or maybe they'll go and read these books. But I really wish that somebody told me this when I was graduating out of college. So I really always felt like, yeah, maybe the future generation shouldn't have or miss this opportunity to hear from experienced people or people who have different sorts of experience in life.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Perfect then. Thank you all. And feel free to connect me on LinkedIn if you want. We'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you, Radish.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Anu. See you guys.
Okay.
Bye-bye.